So just sit comfortably and turn your attention inward. Sort of allow things to be as they are. Welcome your experience, whichever way it appears to you. Nothing to argue with, nothing to fix, nothing to attain. Whatever thoughts appear, just let them be. Whatever they want to say, whatever they are saying, remain neutral. As some of you may already know that these meetings are about peace and happiness. Which is unopposed. Since the mind is already full of knowledge, we turn our attention to that which is not defined by the mind. The mind being history. Meaning perceptions that are repeating themselves. Old stories. All sorts of beliefs, opinions about ourselves, about the world. Then the question arises, what is really going on? What am I? What is this? What we refer to as the human experience. These sorts of questions arise to us unexpectedly. What is it to be? What is this? What is going on right now? We want to know. Something within us is seeking an answer to this question. All sorts of things seem to be happening. My life, my disappointments, my struggles, moments of happiness. The sound of traffic, hunger, and world hunger. So many things seem to be happening. And then we hear some teachers saying nothing is really happening. It appears to be nonsense to us. How could it be? Here I am experiencing myself as somebody existing, living in time and space. I have memories of being a child, my family, my friends. All sorts of things have happened. How could it be that nothing is happening? It's sort of mad, isn't it? And yet, there is some resonance. Somehow, there is a recognition that, okay, yeah, I'm interested to understand. I want to know what that means. And then it is said that you cannot understand that with your mind.
I partially noticed it because I was reading something about speech, and it was talking about how articulation and then the rate of speech, and said sometimes like slow speech can be like
what just happened? What just happened? Can you see how a storyline can so easily be weaved? How we can be so easily interested in the story, which arises from where from? Where from does the story arise? Is there room for a story in beingness? Don't you need to be somebody for a story to unfold? The story of myself, the story of my life, the story of me. Time and space that's maintained. How? What is it that maintains this? Time, the impression of time. You know, in some monasteries, they ring a bell every few hours. Boing. The sound of silence. The Om, the Om. That is the resonance of the silence, of the stillness. Are we living before the sound of the bell and after the sound of the bell? Where are we before the sound of the bell and after the sound of the bell? Can you describe the sound of the bell before the sound of the bell? Can you describe the sound of silence? Do you exist in time and space? The body does, seemingly. But how about the reality of being? Or is that some concept? What about the non-concept, that which we refer to as reality? Before any narrative, before language. Before mind, before memory. Although the word before is somehow incorrect, isn't it? It may have some meaning in the relative sense. Before you cook the beans, you need to soak them. Soak them for a few hours, and then before you cook them, you have to turn on the stove. But does that before apply to reality, to our experience? Take a look. Have you ever experienced before? A before, a moment that's not now? So how do we live? Do we live in the realm of manifestation? We do live as somebody in time and space. But as soon as you are this somebody, you've stepped away from your true self. You step away from the whole, from the totality. You step away from your reality as consciousness, the reality which is, which perceives, which knows it is, and you've embodied yourself. You've embodied the formless reality of beingness. What is it that hears these words right now? Can you answer this question without words, without mind, without history? Can you be still and quiet, silent? So silent that there is no you, no past, no knowledge, no history, no world, no right, no wrong, no good, no bad, no time, no space. To completely disrobe because whatever you're shedding is just a cloak. You cannot shed yourself. You cannot shed the reality. And reality is one. One. To feel aggression, to experience aggression, you have to separate yourself from the other. And then you are subject to right and wrong. I am right, the other is wrong. And on the other side of the fence, the other is experiencing, I am right, the other is wrong. Where does right and wrong reside, come from? When there are no fences, when there isn't side A and side B, when there are no camps. As soon as there is a camp, there is right and wrong. Everybody is right and everybody's wrong in that realm of separation. Sometimes we perceive others are destroying the planet. Killing the rivers and killing the sky. We are horrified. By what we see. How could it be that they do not see what's going on to It's happening to the glaciers, to the rivers, to the oceans, to the lakes. How could it be that they don't see that? What's wrong with them? And then you die. Can you die right now? Why wait? Die right now. The great secret of death. Seeing through the illusion. Beyond the mind, way beyond the mind. Way beyond feelings and all the stuff we know. The great illusion. That repeats itself minute by minute by minute. The illusion of the separate me. Believing that I am this personal mind, personal mind. Where is it? Where is it right now? Where is your personal mind in this moment? You've got to go in the archives and in the cellar or the attic to bring in this personal mind. It's full of dust. It smells rancid. Putrefied. But in this moment of being, all comes together. Everything comes together in this objectless, subjectless, non-dual. Beyond words. There's this koan in the Zen tradition about this monk who lived with this old Zen teacher, master, trying to learn, trying to understand, asking questions, day after day. About truth, about reality. What is the highest understanding? And the master Teacher always sharing and sharing and sharing, whatever I could share. And one night they're in the cabin together. It's a dark night, and the student wants to take his leave from the teacher and bids good night, but he's sort of wary about walking out in the dark to his cabin in the woods. And the master notices the anxiety of the student and lights a candle and as the student is by the door, opening the door, dark outside, the master hands the candle to the student. And as the student is reaching for it, the master blows it, extinguishes it by blowing on it. It is said that in that instant, the student's mind collapsed. That moment is this moment. Which is not in time or space. So I will, let me see, restore. Let me see, love students. Okay, so you can unmute yourself and you can start your video. Okay.
Hey.
So that,
Magdi.
Salut Shiva.
Boum boum, je suis le premier.
Okay, super. So, yes.
This was the single most powerful meditation I feel I've heard you let through in a long time, and maybe just because it's so completely custom made to what's going on here in this lifetime. And I'd like us to stay a little longer with it. So I'm trying to make a resume of like the last 15 years, and in the same time be completely in the present moment. So it seems to me that from the sharing I can offer, there is a definite phase, and I'm not saying it's important or not important or right or wrong or anything, but it seems that there is a classical phase of first getting in touch with the teaching or a teacher through various life circumstances, involving suffering for most of us, I think. I think I can confidently say that. And that we sort of drop in or onto a being who's been on that path before and has gathered more wisdom and then shares it with us. And we are very lucky to have that. And then there is a phase of consolidation and intellectual understanding, and all sorts of amazing things happen. And in my phase, there was like a nearly 10-year period of this, you know, sinking in. And I remember at the time, my teacher was Muji, and Muji kept on saying, he was talking about something which he funnily enough called cappuccino consciousness, meaning you're sitting in a nice cafe on Piazza Navona in Rome, and you're talking with your friends about consciousness. And then there's another phase in my case where it felt like it was time to sort of apply it all in a life situation. I mean, other people didn't have the luxury, I guess, of being a hermit for a long time. And they are in life all the time. But for what's going on right now in my life is that there seems to be very strong triggers. And to come back into your dying piece, which was an important piece of your meditation, at some point you said, you know, the glaciers are melting. Use that example. I mean, there's so many other examples we can use. And then you said, oh, can you die now? Right? That was in your meditation a very powerful moment. And it feels like, to some degree, intellectually, it's completely understandable. But maybe we need the candle to be blown out by life every once in a while in order to get there, because I don't know, you know, I mean, I had this really intense break. I want to call it breakthrough now instead of a breakdown on Sunday on the subject of something similar to those glaciers. And I realize how there is a remaining tendency, despite all this understanding, all this contact with truth and all the teaching, there still is a tendency of feeling that something needs to be fixed. And obviously there is right or wrong, because otherwise there would otherwise be no feeling of wanting to fix something. And so it's a very subtle kind of point in a sense that I feel that the dying, so I really went very deep on Sunday in my distress. I mean, it was quite extreme. And then after sharing it with some beings, I went into retreat in this place, which I have here, which is amazing. This place was no human beings and absolutely amazing nature. And I was in this nature and I just stayed with it. And something happened. Something made me understand that there is a tendency which still believes that non-engagement is not life. Like, if I don't feel strongly on a subject, I am not alive. That life means to be triggered, to be super happy, to super unhappy, whatever, and everything in between. And I realized how tricky that entity is, because it somewhere still sits there and it's like, yes, but how can you not feel something about XYZ, you know, of great importance? Or right now there's a lot to, this morning there was something really beautiful happening because computer broke down, car has an issue. I mean, it's yeah, everything in the world is now suddenly like, oh my God, there's a problem. And I realized that the invitation is to be concerned, to stress out about it. It's not about doing something about it, because on the contrary, I was very active this morning before satsang, but I didn't do it with this, oh my God, I got to be done by then. I need to think, you know, and what if, and blah. There was no friction whatsoever. And while I was doing it all, I'm like, okay, so who is the one who's concerned about this? The package not delivering in time, delivered in time in the post office. Is like, who is this? So it feels like, to some degree, I know this was a little bit of a confused sharing, but the quintessential piece in there is, it's life itself which makes it happen, basically. Because whatever the triggers are, whatever the dying processes are, the question is, can you die on command? Right? Like, okay, now, die now. Because that's something I feel there is some sort of built-in mechanism against that. And I remember all these moments of experience, of sharing through all these years and years of satsang, where people were saying, okay, my house burned down, I lost my wife to cancer, and then it made bing. And I just, you know, I'm in a different space. I experience a different time-space relationship. You know, God's present in my heart, et cetera, et cetera. So there is this, how do we deal, like, I mean, not that anybody needs to deal with anything, but it feels like it's already all happening and life is sort of taking care of it. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense, what I'm sharing? Does it to give you some stuff to develop or to talk about right now?
You know, like, out of the wide open sky, which is nothing to be said about the wide open sky. It's not made out of anything. It's out of the wide open sky. There are all sorts of clouds of all sorts of manifestation that arise out of it. Different shapes, different forms, different durations, different way they manifest. Some manifest in thunderstorms, some manifest in gentle rain or no rain at all. So the wide open sky is neither interested nor disinterested, neither interested nor disinterested. And yet, here are all sorts of clouds. There are all sorts of clouds, and sometimes no clouds. But irrespective of clouds or no clouds, the wide open sky is completely there, 1000% there, within the clouds, throughout the clouds, beyond the clouds, free from the clouds, subject to the clouds, whatever you want to say. So how to be, you are.
Exactly. That's exactly the point. So we're not talking about basic Advaita, where we're saying, oh, the sky is one, let's say, consciousness, and the clouds are the phenomenal appearances, even though that is also true and the metaphor is valid. But we know that the sky and the cloud are one. There is no separation between the ephemeral appearance of the cloud and the sky-like quality of consciousness. They are one, right? So that's exactly the piece. So there is this hairline or this knife edge, I feel, of yes, so this stuff is happening. The information I got on Sunday was so devastating that my entire system went into shock. And so I am the cloud, if you want, in that moment, because I'm that shock. And you can say, yeah, to some degree, that shock doesn't really exist. And what's important is to be the consciousness which is seeing that it happens and realize that nothing really happens, because in reality, and that's the ultimate truth,
you don't
nothing
need to
really
separate.
happens.
You don't need to separate that.
Yes.
Yeah.
So in other words, you are in this very intense emotion. And what's really funny about the intense emotion, and that it reminded me very much of the moment when you were crying, sharing with us the departure of your beloved brother. It was an emotion which, for whatever reason, was supposed to be there. And I guess there was also, to some degree, a necessity of that me, which is an assumption, to feel lost and crazy and angry and depressed and threatened and whatever it all felt, only to then come out of it and to realize that the whole thing was just another thunder shower, basically. And so now the question I have, I guess the real question I have is there a form of thriving or actively looking for a balanced state? I mean, it seems fairly easy to do this with the little puffy white class. Okay, the computer's broke, so no big deal. It's been broke 5 times. You know how this works, and you're gonna do this ABC. There's no more upset about it. There's been upset about it, like, I don't know, 10 years ago when it first happened. So is life continuously showing us more and more intense, quote unquote, things of our ways so we can more and more wake up? Is that what it is?
Okay, Shiva. So as long as we're experiencing some turbulence, let's say, or let's stay with some turbulence, then it makes sense to remind ourselves that this turbulence is not an issue. It's not an issue. Why? Because we choose not to make it an issue. Or it is an issue. Why? Because we choose it to be an issue. So there is turbulence, there is something on the screen. And if it's possible to remind ourselves that we could fall on this side of the cliff or that side of the cliff, doesn't matter. Meaning the Advaita camp, where it doesn't really matter, or on the other camp, where the camp of the mind, where it really matters, that it really doesn't matter on which side you fall, because we're exercising our freedom. So you're not subject.
I didn't hear that. We're exercising freedom?
Our freedom. We're exercising our freedom.
Exercising our freedom. In what level?
We're exercising our freedom. We are not subject to some external force that is sort of coming upon us. Whatever we're experiencing is neutral. If we can comprehend that, it's neutral, and we choose to give it a charge or not. It's our choice. Now, if we don't perceive that it is our choice, then the impression that we have is going to be that we are subject to some external forces. And as long as we perceive that we are subject to external forces, I would say that it makes no sense to add on to that experience a combative, a combative approach.
Yeah.
Because combating is an internal process. In fact, we're never really combating with anybody outside of ourselves. It's an internal combat. Now, what resonates, what makes sense, how do we proceed? We don't know ahead of time, but we do have an arsenal of tools, understandings. We've got insights. We have a tool of insights that are available to us. How do we apply them? When do we apply them? Do we apply them successfully or just for a little moment and then go back into another methodology? We don't know. We don't know ahead of time. We
don't.
But over time, we learn, okay, wait a minute, there are certain paths that get darker and darker. They get more and more thicker and thicker, like you're walking into the depths of the woods, and it's a thorny process. And sometimes you realize there are other ways of being that are easier. They seem to sort of relax you more. They give you a little respite, a little. Whether you get it or you don't, it's really up to you.
Right.
What you retain, what you comprehend, which direction you choose. It's an exercise of your freedom and your complete intelligence, because you're endowed with the universal intelligence. There isn't like a trump card, in the deck. We're all, gifted with the capacity to perceive, to contemplate, to comprehend, and to apply whatever we choose to apply. Francis often says that misery is a personal choice, unhappiness is a personal choice. The sense of separation is a personal choice. I would add that yes, it's a personal choice that we may not be aware. We may not be aware that it's a personal choice. Fine, got it. Although we may not be aware that we've opened the door and we've invited, ignorance in our home, even though we may not be aware of that, the fact is that we did that. We do choose to wallow in our feelings, in our emotions, in our beliefs, in our thoughts. Why? We feel good about it. We like it. That's
a very important point to acknowledge. And I feel that acknowledgement has happened already. And that's why it's going so deep, because there is stuff which it's hard actually to put into words, and I don't think it's even completely necessary to put into words or to know why that is so strong, to know why at age 15 one has viewed the survivor videos of the concentration camps, and why there is such a sensitivity to the manipulation which is going on worldwide right now, and why that is triggering something so hard. And I feel like there has been a tremendous amount of cleansing which happened on this last run on Sunday, because there is a total understanding now that there is this choice that you were talking about earlier, and that the choice means that I can let it get me upset, or I can let it get upset and realize it. And in that moment, I don't think there is no question of combativeness anymore. I usually share this like with 2 or 3 beings on the planet, and then I retreat into contemplation about it. So I'm not in a combative mood at all anymore. Yet, however, it still seems to happen. You know, there is very strong triggers. I mean, the thing about the hospitals and the fact that these poor people who get kicked out because if they don't want to take a vaccine are deprived of their right to unemployment. For me, that is evil, and that relates to the 30s in Germany, like the way the Nazis started to treat those people. And it triggered something super, super, super strong. And that sort of whole thing about not trusting human being being like, you know, warped or whatever, and not getting it, and the world being evil, whatever, that came out very, very strongly. And it feels like it's like pulling a wisdom or something that really pulled very strongly. And I know that there is a choice. There's a choice of staying in that space of sky, despite that incredible load of thunderclouds, which are currently going over what we call the world. And I feel that it's not only my choice, but it is actually an obligation to go there and to be that, because I'm not alone. And if I want to be of any help to my fellow sisters and brothers, I cannot be swept away by the flood of those emotions so strongly. So there's definitely something came out of that story. And so I feel very thankful for your presence and for the teaching in general. And all I can say is, you know, the dying happens when the dying has to happen, and not 1 second earlier. You know, understanding or no understanding makes no difference. But at the end of the day, it's the living experience of it which matters. And God only knows how that is going to come to us when it needs to come to us. So thank you, Magdi. Thank you.
Okay, Siba.
I love you. Merci.
What's the format here?
Okay. Yes.
À bientôt. Bye. Ciao.
See you.
I've had my hand up for a while, and this guy comes in ahead of me, and he didn't have his hand up.
Sorry.
What's the format? Anybody can just talk whenever?
Yes.
So no hand raising, just jump in.
Yes, I haven't used hand, but go ahead.
So
Jacques.
just jump in. Yeah. So like, I would like to know the before and after for you. Like, how were you before and this understanding, and now how are you now? What changed? Give me a before and after for you. Like in your behavior, in your relationships, in your life, what changed as a result of this understanding that you have? Did you hear the question?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say that sense of peace.
No, not inwardly, but outwardly. What changed
Okay.
in your relationships, in your behavior, how you treated people,
You
your responses to all the things that are happening in the world? What changed?
you have
Anything?
You have to ask others about that.
No, I'm asking you.
I can only describe to you my experience.
You can describe it.
I am, but you don't want to hear it.
No, I know you said peace, silence, stillness, nothingness, fine. But now what does nothingness do? What did you find it doing? In other words, is the nothingness doing nothing? Is the silence silent? Is that what you found?
What do you mean nothingness? What are you talking about?
That's what I'm trying to get from you. I'm trying to find out what happened to you, meaning give me a before and after, and not internally. I mean, I understand internally already. What happened externally? What happened to your relationships? What happened to your behavior? How did you behave differently, or did you behave differently?
Are you available for the answer, or you're not? You have a specific answer in mind, or are you available for my answer?
Well, I've been waiting. I reiterated the question because you seemed confused.
When you are waiting, you listen.
I am listening.
Okay. So the answer to your question is you have to ask others.
And I asked you, why?
Because I can only describe to you my experience.
And I said, that's okay.
Okay.
I said, describe it.
My experience is that of peace and undisturbability, irrespective of situations, irrespective of conditions. The peace and the undisturbable peace and freedom from the sense of angst.
Okay, maybe then I should be. Oh, so does that include all mental disturbances? That all came to an end?
There are no mental.
Right, that all came to the end.
Yes.
And now, in terms of relationship with others, did you treat other people any differently? Was there any difference in the way you behave with others?
I heard your question. You have to ask others. I heard your question.
Okay, does anybody want to respond?
The question is you have to ask others.
I mean, because you're the host and you're teaching this thing
I answered
talking about it.
I answered your question.
No, you didn't. Because I wanted to know not just the internal, what happened, what changed, but externally. How did that manifest in day-to-day living? When you go to work, when you go to school, what changed, if anything? I'm asking. You can say nothing changed or this is what happened, you know.
One of the things that I've noticed is that life became smoother, easier. The flow seems to be smoother flow. Events seem to be synchronicity in the events. That I can share that with you. That's been my experience as well. Plus abundance. Somehow it seems that once the release of the inner contraction has sort of established itself, it seems that the universe smiles at you.
Maybe if I ask a specific question, maybe that would help.
Okay.
So for example, the after, did you feel connected? Do you feel now connected to all beings, including the birds, the insects, the animals, aliens, if they exist, even your worst enemy?
I don't feel either connected or disconnected.
Does love play a role in your life?
I'm sorry?
Love. If I were to ask you, what is love? As you understand it now.
My reply to you, what is not love?
Okay, so then there you go. So then therefore, everything that's happening, right, is the movement of love, meaning the raping, the pillaging, the bombing, the killing, the torturing, all the miseries is part of love. Isn't the mental afflictions also part of love, the movement of love?
Is that a question or a statement?
Well, based on what you said, I'm saying, is that what it is then? That
So
love is the manifestation of all of that. That's the question.
If the question is, does killing, rape, etc., the manifestation of love, I would say that killing, raping, and all these sorts of actions are the impression of a separation. They have
right, I know that, but
nothing to do with the reality. Like
where there's a sense of separation, is there love?
I'm sorry?
Where there's a sense of separation, is there love?
When there is the sense of separation, you are in the illusion. You are in an imaginary bubble.
And is there love? Is love happening?
Love is. You seem to be referring to love as something that happens. Let's use the following metaphor, okay? In the clouds, a dragon happens. The shape of a dragon appears, and the other cloud is the shape of a goat, and the dragon is spitting fire on the goat. So the question is that you're asking, using that metaphor, is there love or not love in the dragon killing the goat? So you are confusing two levels. You're confusing the level of imagination with the level of reality, of truth. So you can imagine, for example, that you are a turtle, and you may feel that you are limited. You have to live inside the shell and so on. But that doesn't make it so.
Okay, let's see if we can clarify it this way. Can you think of someone right now that you feel connected to, close to, having deep affection for? Can you think of that person or persons right now?
No.
Do you have any affection for anyone or any care for anyone?
I am affection. I do not have affection.
Therefore, you have affection for all. If you are affection, you have affection for all? No?
I think I'm not sure what you are fishing for, what you are looking for.
I'm not fishing. I'm just trying to understand what you're saying. Okay, so I'm just trying to understand what you're saying. So if you are affection, you have affection for all.
No, hold on. Let me interrupt you. I don't feel that you have a question. My sense of the way we are interacting is that you have.
No. I'm trying to understand.
Hello. Excuse me.
Yeah, that's all I'm doing.
Excuse me. You're trying to demonstrate.
You're projecting.
You're trying to demonstrate something.
No, you're trying to project something onto me. I'm trying to understand you. That's all.
Okay, what is it you're trying to understand? You're trying to understand my experience? No, just be.
What happened to you? Obviously, you're here to talk.
Be interested in your own. Be interested in your own.
Well, all experiences are illusionary. I mean, they're shaped by previous
so then why
experiences.
are you asking me about illusion?
No, I'm asking you what has happened. In other words, I'm asking you about.
Why are you asking me about illusion?
I'm asking you about what's happening now.
If what's happening now is illusion.
So I wanted to get to it, meaning you said you are affection.
You tell me what is happening. You tell me what's happening now.
In other words, do you treat everyone? I'm asking a question. Do you treat everyone? Do you have the same quality and intensity of affection? Because you said I'm affection towards everybody in this room.
You see, when I
or is there a difference? I feel close to this person, not so close to that person. This person annoys me. This person's irritating. This person I love because they give me pleasure. Or there's none of that. And there's just affection, like a flower giving off perfume to whoever is passing without judgment, without any difference. Which is it?
I don't even know what your question is.
No, I'm asking you. You said I'm affection, right? So I'm asking, does that affection?
I don't think you understand what I'm saying.
I'm trying to get to it. I'm trying to understand. That's what I'm trying to get.
You speak so much that there is very little listening in you.
I'm only repeating your words. And I'm trying to understand what you mean by those words.
You speak so much that there is very little listening in you.
See, again, you're projecting, you're assuming, you're judging. I am listening, and I'm trying to listen to what I want to understand what you're saying, right? So you said I'm affection. And my question is, do you feel the same love and care and affection for all of us here that you would towards your children, your dearly beloved, your best friend, etc.? It's a yes or no question.
Okay. Yes. Let's say yes. Let's see where this is going.
No, let's say yes. No, let's say yes. I want to know.
Yes. The answer is yes. Go ahead.
Is that an honest answer?
Yes.
Or are you just saying it to just, move on?
Jacob, when I say I and when you
so you're not being serious.
When I say I and when you say I think we're referring to different things.
Okay, so then just say, is love happening, affection happening without any sense of difference amongst all people?
I would say that love is truth. Love is reality. But we cannot comprehend that because we have so many notions about love. It's hard to really put into words love, because
We can describe it. We can describe it, meaning I feel connected to my arm. I love my arm. If anything harms it, there's a response, right? To protect it, be affectionate. If I don't feel connected, right, then I don't care. I'm cold-hearted, I don't do anything. I don't respond. When I feel connected, there's a response. If I don't feel connected to the people in Yemen who are being bombed, right? I'm okay. I'm in peace, right? I'm in peace, but I don't feel connected to them.
when you say
Why should I do anything about them?
when you say I, what are you referring to?
Okay, I'm talking when I'm using the word I'm just talking about the brain body.
About
I'm
what?
not talking about. I'm just talking about the brain body. I'm not talking about
the brain.
me.
Well, that we have a big schism in how we refer to I. I don't.
Yeah, no, I'm using.
I don't.
Yeah, there's two
see
eyes.
I
Meaning
as
there's
the brain and the body. You say the brain and the body. I refer to it as the brain and the body, as perceptions and sensations.
right, but
The-
superimposed on that is your conditioning. The brain has been conditioned through memory, through knowledge, experiences, beliefs, ideas, all of that, which is memory. It's a bundle of memory, which is now acting as an inner tyrant it's superimposed on the brain body.
The brain doesn't act and doesn't act as anything. The brain doesn't act.
The brain body is a slave to it, meaning it's under a delusion that there is a me, right? And the me is acting as the controller, the experiencer,
No, that's not. No, we have
the chooser.
We have different interpretations. We have different understandings. You know what, Jacob? Because we are so far apart in our understanding, I don't think that we can have like a debate about our understanding right now.
No, not a debate. We're
There are
trying
a
to
lot of-
understand what
There
you're
are a lot
saying.
of things that you are saying that just don't resonate for me here. They don't resonate.
Right. I'm just trying to understand what you're saying.
I don't think that you can understand what I'm saying via your spinning mind.
But again, assumptions.
Yeah, that's
You're assuming that there's a spinning mind.
That's definitely my assumption. I hold
Projecting yourself onto me. Don't do that. Look, I'm listening. In order to listen, there must not be a listener, right? There must be no spinning anything. There must be silence in order to listen.
Is there
Right?
silence where you're coming from?
Silence is talking to you now. It's using language to speak to you. Silence is speaking.
You know what, Jacob?
I'm assuming that's what's happening with you, right? Silence is speaking to me.
Hello. How come I'm not sensing the silence?
Well, it could be that you're in the turmoil of your own, like Magdi's beliefs and ideas.
So let's come to the following conclusion. I am not sensing the silence in our conversation. So
Anyway, I don't want to make it about me. I want to understand what you're saying.
If you don't let me finish talking, then I think we have to stop talking, okay? Since I am not sensing my inner silence in our conversation, I would rather not continue this conversation because it makes no sense.
I don't think you want to answer the question. I have questions, and I don't think you want to answer them. Like, I want to know who's doing the raping. Is that the movement of silence, stillness, nothingness, whatever you want to call it?
Let me give you an answer to your question about who's doing the raping, okay? That's my answer. You don't have to buy it. It's just my.
No, I just want to understand.
Let me talk.
I'm not buying or not buying.
Let me talk. Because you ask a question, then you talk, and then we keep going, knows where we're going. So you ask, who is doing the raping? Is that the question?
Yeah. Who's doing the mental afflictions and all the rest?
Let's just keep it simple. Who's doing the raping? Yes?
It's not just raping. It's so many things. The killing, the brutality, the envy, the greed, the jealousy.
Who is doing the raping and
the conflict, the violence, all of that.
All right. So can you be silent for a minute so that I can finish my answer? Yes, can you? Okay. So let's imagine that you are dreaming, you are sleeping and you are dreaming that you are a thief, or more that you are not a thief, there is a thief that's coming, breaking through your house and stealing your valuables. and you are very upset. You're, calling the police. You're trying to chase the thief, and you're very, very upset. And the thief has a gun. It's really bad state of affair. And then you wake up. When you wake up, you realize that there actually was no thief. There was no house. There was nobody robbing you. But when you were in the dream, when you were dreaming, the experience was very real. So in your question about who is robbing and who is raping and who is stealing and who is doing all these afflictions, nobody, because in the dream, all of that is happening. But when you wake up, you realize that none of this is happening.
So right now, if somebody broke into your house and started torturing your children, would you say nothing is happening? It's all a dream. There's nothing happening, nothing to do. Everything is beautiful. Everything is perfect. Is that what your response would be?
No, because
well, that's a contradiction.
Wait a minute. You asked a question. Can I answer?
Yes, go ahead. I'm listening. I'm listening.
So hush up a little bit. Let me answer the freaking question. So the question.
Go ahead. I'm not preventing.
The question.
You keep thinking I'm preventing.
If somebody breaks into my house, will I just say it's just a dream? No, that would be neo-Advaita. If somebody breaks into my house, I will fight them. I will call the police. I will throw them out. Why?
Why would you? Yeah.
Why? Because there is the dream level, the dream dimension that we are now experiencing.
But you woke up.
I'm asking a question and I'm answering you. This is in the dream dimension, meaning
didn't you wake up?
In the dimension of that which appeared. It is not in the dimension of reality.
I understand, but did you wake up?
When you say you, who are you referring to?
The dream is separate from the me? Or the me is the dream?
The me is the dream.
Me is the dream.
Sense of me.
So when that ends,
of being a person is interconnected with the house, with the neighbor, with the bank account, with the car.
Right. So when that ends, what happens?
I'm sorry?
That's what I was trying to find out. Like when that ends, when that comes to an end, when the me, the dream, my experiences, my beliefs, my ideas, all of that, the stories, you have so many stories. When all of that comes to an end, I want to know what happens, what changes in your day-to-day living, in your day. Don't give me metaphors, with dragons in the sky. Give me day-to-day living. When you go to work, when you go to school, when you go to the grocery store, what has changed?
What has changed is that you are in peace. Not only you are in peace, but the world is also in peace with you.
That's not true.
All right, nice.
That's not true, though.
Jacob, thank you.
Obviously, bombs are being thrown. They're happening.
Yeah, well, I answered your question, and I think that we can now turn to other people for their questions. Thank you for your questions. Okay, any questions? By the way, there were some pretty good questions there.
I'm just wondering if Jacob is comfortable in himself.
Is that a question you want to address him right now, Holger?
No,
Yes.
no. Just yes. Okay.
Yes, I am the very manifestation of all that is peace and love and wisdom and creativity. You are witnessing it.
You don't look like it.
How will you know? Unless you are it. You must first be it. No, you must be first the embodiment of peace. Peace can only recognize peace.
I can recognize your anger and frustration.
Is it my anger or your anger?
It's your anger. No,
No. Is it my anger or your anger?
Yeah,
no. Just don't answer it. It's a question.
No, it's so clear.
Good question. Good question, Jacob. Thank you. Good question. Okay. Let's keep that. Let's keep it friendly. It is it's not possible to experience the peace as a person. And all sorts of spiritual understanding is not sufficient. It's not sufficient. It has to go to a deeper level. There has to be a dying of the me, not necessarily in one stroke, not necessarily in one blow, but in many blows. Most often, there has to be a real dying of the me. So that when we speak of I, it's a different conversation. And the I that is speaking is not the same I. And it is, it's a trap to fall into the understanding at the mind level. It's a really, really stuck place. And I encourage well, let's keep it at that. And, you know, as our true nature, as that which we are, as the reality of whatever you call it, beingness, presence, whatever you call it, consciousness, there are no barriers. So we do sense and feel. When you get close to the stove, you feel the heat. When you step outside in the winter, you feel the cold. Why? Because you're transparent. There isn't a barrier. Similarly, you know, when somebody comes and starts yelling at you in your face, say, "Oh, you're a sage." If you're feeling upset or you're feeling disturbed or you're feeling stirred, it's your own anger, it's your own madness, it's your own blah, 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 blah. That's not the case. Somebody comes and starts yelling at you while you're just there, you know, being hello. You will feel what they're feeling. Maybe not exactly what they're feeling, but the more transparent you are, the more you will feel what they're feeling. Why? Because we're not apart. It's not, there isn't a lead wall anywhere. And as presence, when you are established as the peace, it's not a personal feat. Don't misunderstand me. Then whatever arises for you doesn't stick. You do feel the vibrations, but it doesn't remain. It doesn't trigger in you the internal war. Oh my God, I hate this guy. I'm going to fight with him, and it's blah, 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 blah. No, because why? Because there is no position. There is no, not like you are deciding not to take a position. It's not an act of will. It is just how it is. It's how it is. Which is quite different from being somebody, from having the sense of me. The sense of me is an add-on. It's like you put within the openness a jar, and everything that happens to you, you put it in the jar, and then you you let it ferment and you make it blow. This is the sense of me. It has this impression that something is at stake. Something is at stake for me. I need to make a point. I need you to understand me. I need you to love me. I need you to blah, blah, blah. I need you to whatever. All of that is a falsehood. It's an add-on. There is nothing in it. Nothing. In God's kingdom, there is no winning and losing. It's not that somebody won an argument and the other one lost the argument. It's not like that. There isn't a winning and losing. But we perceive, we have the capacity to understand, we have the capacity to sense, we have the capacity to discriminate, and we learn. It's very beautiful. It has nothing to do with somebody being right and somebody being wrong. We are on different points of the journey. And the journey is a journey of love. And our hands are always extended to each other, knowingly or not knowingly. Definitely, when you come upon a very beautiful lake, you want to invite your friends to it. You want to tell people about it. Oh, it's a beautiful lake. Just take this turn here and take that turn there. Go over this hill. You're gonna love it. It's so beautiful. The water is clear. You can see the fish swimming. You see the birds. It's a natural thing for us to want to share the happiness. It's natural. Any questions?
I mean, Jacob writes very beautiful things in the chat. I mean, it's amazing. And Magdi, I just wanted to express my gratitude. I really deeply enjoy your meditations, and those gatherings here, they feel like family to me, and it's beautiful, very beautiful.
Yes.
I too would like to thank you, Magdi. I'm not as expressive as Holger is, so let me just say thank you.
Thank you, George. We all share the same sympathy and love for each other, and for the opportunities that we come together to explore and to be together in silence and to be together in understanding. And no, it's precious. It's really precious. What we're expressing, what we're sharing is inexpressible, and yet everything says it, everything speaks it. And we need to come to understanding what it means. Everything speaks it, everything expresses it. Meaning,
Can I just?
Sorry.
I just wanted to say sorry. I don't want to interrupt you. I really apologize to Jacob for my outburst. It was just came from a feeling outburst. I think he has a wonderful contribution to the chats that I noticed.
Yeah.
So and we just, I think I was caught in the anger as well.
I felt, I could say anger. I felt, and I would say anger coming through what I perceived through the body mind, Jacob. I did, but it's not personal. It's not personal because first, Jacob is not a person, nor am I, nor is any here. So it's just it's a flow of energy that feels to be stirred up, like a little bit of stormy weather. Okay, it's not personal. The weather is not personal, and what is channeled through body, mind, Magdi, Nathan, Jacob, Holger, all of us is not personal. And when something repeats itself, it's wise for us to take a look. It's calling our attention when there is a spin that repeats itself.
Yes.
In particular, when it rubs people the wrong way, because people are our friends, they tell us, hey, what's wrong with you, man? It's a mirror in a way, our friends in relationship, we all know that. I mean, always in relationship, it's a mirror, our partner, our friend, say, hey, what's with you, and we get irritated. So it's a good thing to listen, not to just always be the same. If we're always defensive, there's a pattern there. If we're always offensive, there is a pattern there. So sometimes Tara tells me, oh, well, something stirs you up, I say, yeah, it definitely stirs me up. When there is such and such situation that is somehow dissonant with the peace, I feel it. I sense it. I'm not like like the Buddha statue, No, you feel it, you sense it, but you don't retain it. Why you don't retain it? Because you're not a person. You're not a person. You don't exist in time and space. There is something that occurs, it leaves an imprint. Like you walk on the beach, there is the imprint of your foot on the sand. But come back an hour later, the imprint is gone. But yet there was an imprint for an hour or 10 minutes or 5 minutes. It's not different. It's not different in terms of the body mind, how we relate to each other. This is why, as much as possible, we say, is it possible to relate with each other from a place of listening, a place of understanding, a place of wisdom, a place of intelligence? Because so that the imprint we leave is a sweet imprint, like when we go listen to classical, some music, we go to the concert, we go to the museum, we watch something that's beautiful, that's harmonious. It leaves an imprint on us. Even when we leave, we still sort of, the perfume of the symphony is there. It does something to the mind, and it brings a beauty. It brings to the mind its true nature. There is a difference between being upset and experiencing, quotes unquote, upsetness. Or sorrow. In being upset, you are like a sponge that absorbs all this upsetness and generates upsetness. It's the sense of being a me is about defense and offense. Preserving what? Preserving whatever it is that you take yourself to be. You take yourself to whatever it is. So you want to preserve that. You see. And all you're preserving is the unhappiness. All you're preserving is the limitation. But you're not whatever you define yourself to be. Even if you define yourself to be the greatest person on the world. Because if you define yourself as being the greatest person on the world, it's just thoughts and images and sensations. Because there is no such a thing as a greater person on the earth. But yet in your experience, in terms of the images that you keep maintaining and those feelings that come with it, that's what the sense of me is. It's an illusory appearance. It's an appearance that appears to you. Over and over, it appears to you. And you buy into it. You buy into it meaning you believe it. Once you believe, yes, I am Magdi, I am this great blah, 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 or I am this poor blah, blah, blah. When you adopt this sort of, you say yes to that, that's it. It's in your passport. It's in your wallet now. It's in your wallet. You are this identity. You are this person. You're no longer questioning that. Now that you are this person, you're questioning how much money do I have? How great am I? How many people love me? How many cars I have? How many partners can I have, etc. So the inquiry is you have to open your wallet and see your assumption, your belief about yourself. Because once you open the wallet and you look at the belief, you may see that it's just a belief. The belief is, what is it? What is it? It's not what you are, obviously, because a belief can change. You drink 2 shots of tequila and now your beliefs are completely, woozy, So what is it to be without a self-definition, without belief about yourself, without belief about the world, without belief about anything? What is it to just be without belief? See? The belief is an add-on, right? But in being in presence right now, we don't need a belief. Can we live without belief about ourselves, about the world, about the universe? Sure, absolutely. Because the world is already defined. When it rains, the acorn becomes an oak tree. It's already, when the water dries out, the fish die in the pond. When there is a volcano that erupts next to a village, it kills all the people in the village and burns all the houses. It's already defined. When the weather is right in a certain way, the rose blooms, beautiful rose, you see. The body-mind is not separate from all of that. It's one whole. It's not separate. So the question is, can we live without belief? Yes, absolutely. It's what life is. Life is belief-free. It's the reality of life. Belief is just a mental, it's a mental realm. The belief about consciousness, the belief about I. The belief about I doesn't define you. And yet we all live under the sense of me, or many of us do. We live under the sense of me. I am this person. I am this person. That's a belief. Because there is no proof that you are a person. There's no proof, it's a belief. Because when you look at what is the person, what is the person? You find right now in this moment, what is me? You find that me is just images, perceptions, sensations, the story. Today is a good story, tomorrow a bad story. Last week it was a horrible story. 2 days ago, it was an awful story. So obviously you are not a story. I mean, you may perceive a story. You may perceive yourself as this or that, but you're not that. You're not that which you perceive. So if you're not that which you perceive, that means you are not made out of any perception. You're not phenomenal. You're not phenomenal. And that's not a theory. This is something you can look into. You can look into it and come to realize that you are this transparency right now. You're this transparency. Use the word transparency. You are the formless reality. There is a reality because there is something rather than nothing. You're not separate from this reality. You cannot be separate from the reality. Then how would you experience anything? But then you would have two realities, you, that separate thing, and reality. No, that's not, we don't have an experience that we are separate from reality. We don't have this experience. It's just a storyline, you see. So can we drop all our knowledge in this moment? Drop all my knowledge in this moment, and I speak from not knowing. I speak from not knowing. The only thing I can be certain of is I am conscious, whatever that means. And the only thing that I can be certain of is there is something rather than nothing. That's it. To be just with that obvious. It's not from the past. It is not a knowledge from the past. It's not like, oh well, let's remember what I read. Ramana Maharshi was talking in the year 1930 to his students. No, it's available to us. Right? It's our direct experience. You see, our direct experience. That's why it said we look so far for that which is closer than close. We look so far for that which is closer than close. What is it that is closer than close? It's not the TV screen. It's not my house. It's not my money. What is it that is closer than close? What is it? I have no words for it. I am that. You know that title of the book, Thou art that. I am that. Whatever these words mean, you can understand them in a million ways, or not understand them at all. You don't need to understand them. They're a fact. They're a truth. Reality. What do I know? Nothing. Nothing. What do I know? Nothing. Speak from not knowing. Speak from not knowing. Yes, from not knowing. Absolutely. Absolutely. I don't know. Do you know what you're saying? Do you know what you're hearing? No, of course you don't. You don't. Don't tell me you do. You have to go to a story and say, oh yeah, I know what you're saying. I don't know what I'm saying, so how do you know what I'm saying? You don't know what I'm saying, because I don't know what I'm saying. And yet somehow words are flowing and coming through. I know that it's not a story. We're not sharing a story about, oh, well, you know, when I was 14, God, I mean, you know, yeah, I used to do this and that, you know, which is fine, but that's not what we're doing. We're not sharing a story. We're speaking from the listening place, with the speaking and the hearing are one. The speaking and the creation and the creator are one. It's not, oh, and then the creator created this and that in 7 days or 6 days or whatever. No, it's a constant creation. It's moment by moment creation. And I'm not creating it. I'm like you, witness to this creation. We're witnessing the creation. And yet we're not separate from the creation. Can you separate yourself from this moment? How? How? Where would you go? What would you do? You see? Yeah. So yes, I'm witnessing the creation and I am the creation. What this I is, I don't know. You can call it life, you can call it whatever you want to call it. Who cares? Who cares? Who cares what we call anything? I don't. It's always sweet to be together around the same fire, around the same love, the same interest, the same passion. So thank you all, Holger, Nathan, Jacob, Lucas, Keith, George, Grace, Sempaka, Marga, Holly, Lauren, Frank. Thank you all.